Hey folks, what's going on? So some of you, a couple hundred of you did see the video I uploaded yesterday. I had to take it down because of one part of too much information. It's part of being a part of Hollywood where, it's a world that's new to me. But so I'm going to try to recap my trip to California again. A second chance, maybe I can more succinctly share what was super special to me. There is some music talk involved. I will probably, yesterday I also uploaded some pictures, which I probably won't today. That took a long time doing that editing. Anyway, last Thursday through Sunday, my family flew me out to Los Angeles, California area to be with them for the movie premiere of my brother-in-law's documentary, Floyd Norman, An Animated Life. Perhaps by now you've heard about Floyd Norman. He was the first black illustrator at Walt Disney Studios. Floyd Norman is 81 years old. He is my younger sister's husband. Adrian is 60 and he's 81. They met working at Walt Disney. The thing that I want to try to get across again from the last video is how I highly recommend that you see this documentary. It's heartwarming and eye-opening, because I was amazed to find out just how much groundbreaking and just how much a part of my life Floyd's animation work has been. I mean, he goes all the way back to working on the Jungle Book. I just can't even remember everything, because he not only worked for Walt Disney as the first animator, but it shows his career where he also worked for Hanna-Barbera and some other places. And he was a writer as well as an illustrator. Johnny Quest, Josie and the Pussycats, the revitalization of the Flintstones, the second time they came around. Toy Story 2, he helped to write that. And I forget what it was, but there was a particular gag of his that ended up becoming a major part of the movie. All this stuff, and then yet the film points out how many of his white counterparts went on to make millions and higher jobs, and Floyd was doing as much or more as them, and those opportunities never came to him. The ever-present double standard of skin color. It's sad but true. It's very, very true. There is no denying it unless you're living in a fantasy. Someone as amazing as Floyd Norman has had to wait all this time to get some due. I personally hope that I highly recommend you see this. I hope that the documentary leads to some more, you know what I'm saying? It's like the man deserves. I mean, he's been recognized. He's on the Hall of Fame and this and that, but be nice for him to have some big money in his pocket. You know what I'm saying? It would be nice. I stayed with Adrian and Floyd the first night when I went out there, which was wonderful to reconnect with my younger sister. She is an illustrator for Disney and does princesses and Tinkerbell. If you've seen the movie, illustrated Disney movie Tinkerbell, she's credited at the end where she did the illustrations for the credits. She's done so much more, but I just have to share this again, that how much my family means to me and how glad I am. I have two brothers and two sisters. I get along really super with my sisters. We have just about mastered accepting one another truly as we are, so we really get along. And when there's tension, which there really isn't, we just move through it because we know each other's way. And so I had a blast with my sister Adrian and Floyd. Her husband, Floyd Norman, and we're not the same person, but there are some real similarities in her temperament. I can see why she was drawn to Floyd. Adrian told me in preparation for coming out that she wanted me to meet a good friend of hers, Drew. And she had sent me a while back there was an exhibit of rock and roll art, and Drew Struzan's was part of it. She had sent that to me a while back, where he had autographed it for me next to some album covers that he had done. He's done hundreds. So when I got back, I looked, and said, surely I have some Drew Struzan, and sure, of course I do. Drew Struzan, who did this painting or this illustration for the cover of Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. It's not my favorite Black Sabbath album, but it has my favorite first track on a Black Sabbath album. And my favorite cover, this is my favorite cover of a Black Sabbath album, and to have been taken out to dinner by the guy who did that, just a really wonderful, down-to-earth, mellow guy. It was awesome, you probably know Drew Struzan even better for his movie poster artwork. He's the one that does the blockbuster posters for everything from Star Wars to Harry Potter to just everything. And my sisters and Floyd and the Struzans are very close friends. They get together almost weekly, and it was an honor to hang out with them. They took me to dinner at this posh restaurant, and the way they were treated was the whole celebrity thing, and they just, they didn't play up to it. They got the extra service that we were fawned over. Everyone wanted to know who I was, since I'm with Drew and Floyd, and that was heady. But I was with my family, and Drew is a friend of theirs, and that's where we were at. We're hanging out with friends. I dare say if I lived in California, Drew would become a good friend of mine. We really hit it off. Not about art, but about other things, spirituality and life experiences. It was wonderful. So the primary reason I went out to California initially was to attend the premiere of this movie of my brother-in-law. But my sisters were able to arrange so that I could meet, finally, for the first time, my nephew's children. My eldest nephew is Kareem. He's 44 years old. He has 5 kids who I finally got to meet. It's just, and that was the best part. The family visit was absolutely the zenith of the trip. In preparation for going out, not only did I talk to my younger sister Adrian, but I talked to my older sister Stephanie, who some of you who have been following me have met here when they come to Omaha. And Stephanie was saying, well, you'll stay with me the next 2 nights, and you got to go to Amoeba. I know how you are about records, we'll get you to Amoeba. But once she told me that I was going to be able to meet the kids, I said, I'm not interested. I'm not concerned about going to Amoeba. I get to meet the family. This is... And once it happened, it was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to spend time with you and these kids. Kareem's oldest boy is 20 years old. I finally met him for the first time. He has twins, 18 years old. I've met them. Amazing dudes. And then through another relationship, he has 2 younger children. Naomi is 9 and Adrian is 6. And they stole my heart. And I just want to share how I'm so proud of my family, because these kids have that Higgins dignity, the one that some people try to mess with me about, and you can't take it from me. You can't take it from me. And seeing my family just made me so much stronger, and to see the kids being not typical people, but having that swag and that intelligence and that inner sense of self already, the way they carry themselves. Massively good, massively good. Also, while I was out there, I was able to hook up with Joe Nazarowski again because he lives out there in Glendale or Glen something Brook. But my younger sister Adrian and Floyd, they live in Pasadena, and so I called on Friday. We had some time, and Joe came in town, and we went to lunch. And Joe, even though I just saw Joe in person for the second time this summer earlier when he came out, remember the video? Once we got together with my sister and the way that they vibrated and just seeing Joe again closer to his home element, Joe's a good friend already. He's a good person. Joe is the kind of people I want in my life. And my sister, who has a really good bullshit detector too, although she's much different than me, took to Joe almost immediately as well. We had a fantastic time. You know, what happens to us in life has a lot to do with what we bring to life. And in person is where the magic can or cannot happen. And I'm just happy that when I meet people in person, it becomes really evident what people are about when it's face-to-face, man-to-man, heart-to-heart. So while we were trying to get lunch, these ladies noticed the t-shirt I was wearing, a porcupine tree shirt, asked about the quote, which led to a conversation, which led to us joining them for lunch. You know, this writer, this actress, this scientist, this teacher. And it was just wonderful because in a short space of time, we all could vibe on these commonalities that we have as human beings and as artists. It was such a wonderful trip. The premiere of the movie was awesome, to just try to just pull it all together. Because my family, I'm not in it, but my family out in California are. My sister Adrian, hers is the first voice that you hear in the movie. And both of my sisters are featured throughout the movie as they tell the story. And it makes you laugh. It does, as well as it makes you think. And it's really quite entertaining for being a documentary. Don't want to forget this. This illustration of Floyd was done by Drew Struzan. And it was a gift originally to Floyd. And then interestingly, Michael Fiore and his partner, the people who did this documentary, are the ones who did Drew Struzan's documentary that you can see on Netflix, etc. And Adrian and Floyd and Drew told the story of that happening, and Floyd thought it was a joke when they said, well, I'm going to do your story next, Floyd, as they were one time having a chat or something about Drew's, and Floyd thought it was a joke. He really did not take them seriously. That's how grounded and down to earth Floyd is about himself. And when it started to really happen, Floyd again very intelligently said, well, I'm hands off. I'm not going to edit you. I'm just in your hands. It's your film. And it's brilliant. I can't wait to get my copy on DVD. But Drew did this portrait of Floyd as a gift, and then they just said, oh, well, we'll use that for the poster. It's a natural, you know, because that's what Drew does. That's what he's most famous for, is movie posters. Go and look. Just look him up. Some of you already know him. And his wife, Dylan, wonderful couple. I'm the single type, you know. I really am. I'm not the kind of guy that needs to be with a woman. Dylan and Drew, I was struck by their simpatico and how they didn't talk into each other, but how they talked with each other. I love it when I experience that with couples. My sister Adrian and Floyd, they have a good, solid, respectful relationship. But my sister Adrian is quite bossy, which I can't handle. Floyd handles it well. Now that part that I'm sharing is cool. In the last video, I said something that's like, okay, I should have left that out, and I'm leaving it out this time. I remember to share this. I don't watch many movies. I like movies. I like working on them more than others. But Adrian had in her well, for some reason she said, well, Deadpool. Let's watch Deadpool, which is a Marvel Comics movie, and I really enjoyed it. Action, lots of action, and great effects. But as I was trying to say in my last video, when I see popular culture, which other than music and really mainstream music I'm not into, but mainstream popular culture, which the comics are a part of and a big part of what's in comics, in subtle ways reflects culture, I couldn't help but make observations while watching the movie about trends in culture. I'll try to say this like I said yesterday. For me, I noticed at a point coming up as a teen in the 70s where it just appeared where there was a switch, or there was a switch in my perception where life wasn't imitating art, but where art wasn't imitating life, but people were imitating television and media. And it creates a loop that we live in. And some of what I was watching while watching Deadpool, I saw a couple of other movies while I was there the next day. I can't remember them because they were going in the background. More contemporary, big movies, okay? And because movies are entertainment, they reduce everything to a cliche, and not in the best way, you know. Everything has to be a joke. The humor in everything is seems to be the focus. Sexual titillation and making stupid sexual jokes out of everything is really popular. The sex scenes are rough, crazy, and just crazy, and to me, not representing anything about love. Sex is fine, but it's like things really, like, unless you live in a shell, surely you can see how modern life is really out of balance. And media feeds it. You know, we're so busy focused on the bottom line of profit that so much of what we profit from pollutes our world. And media is part of it. I'll dare say that even though I like this album, when I first saw this album as a kid, Black Sabbath, this cover disturbed me. I'm saying, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? 666, why do we have to be dealing with this devil shit to hear this music? That's always been in my mind, you know what I'm saying? And I grew out of the I mean, I like comics, but as a teen I grew out of the fascination with, no, I can't say that, because I went through with music in my 20s, the dark side, trying to come to terms with what is this fascination with the dark side and gloom and doom and gore? What is it about? You know, and I got through it with comics and movies early, but then had to explore it in music with industrial music and noise music and just some of the darker stuff that people make. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm just trying to share, you know, that those observations are always there. And I think someone commented to the effect that, well, I don't watch comic movies. Well, it's like, well, that's fine. I don't have anything to be ashamed of or take. Yeah, I watch comic book movies. So what? I like them. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing that my sisters and I talked about, because we do talk deep. That's the way that I talk is the way that we all talk. And we talked about how, you know, especially in talking about the kids, how we consciously made a choice to break the chain of abuse in our family. We can all tell stories, and we've told those stories, and we've recapped them as adults throughout the years leading up to where we are now, in order to make better choices with their kids and all people that we encounter. And it was good to have those continuation of conversations. And part of what also came up as a result is that it helped me to be more resolved to not give a shit about anyone's criticism of me, because they don't know and it doesn't matter. I am who I am, and I love me, and I know my nature, and detractors do not. As you good people know, the people who come here and try to throw shade, it's because of some shortcoming of theirs, or jealousy, or something that they're bringing here that I didn't ask for and that I am not putting out. And being with my family just helped me to just really return to that resolve, which is, I'm fine just the way I am, and I'm going to be me, and no one is, don't be trying to fuck with me. I'm a good person, I am. Love my family. I could just go on, you know. I know you guys like to hear about music. I'll show you a couple of albums that were sitting out from before I went on my trip that got played. One is this wonderful cosmic music album from Germany, Popol Vuh, Einsjager and Siebenjager. Popol Vuh, led by the late Florian Frick. Truly spiritual and cosmic music from Germany, just fantastic. This is an original. This is not a reissue. I looked this up. You know, I learned early on in the BC that much of my knowledge was incomplete. And if you watch Andy King still, you were one of the people who really straightened me up on pointing out the Tangerine Dreams, because I didn't really know, because I hadn't researched them that deeply. And you set me straight and taught me how I need to know what I'm talking about as much as possible. And it still happens that I'll share things where I'm not completely sure, and then people will correct me. It appears that people really enjoy correcting me too. I understand it's human nature. There's always so much more that I can share about what's happened and happening, but I get to the 22-minute mark and it's like I gotta go, because it's going to take hours for this video to upload, and I want you to see it, and I want to see it to see how I did. Be well, everyone. Be true to yourself. Spin that wonderful music. Find a way to be more caring and loving about yourself so that you can share that with others. If you happen to be one of those people who believes in the lie that others have to love you so that you can love yourself, get with the truth. It's the opposite. Others can only really love you when you love yourself. We're mirror reflections of one another. Another reason why this unit here, this internet and this camera, has its benefits and its dangers, because we can see each other, but we can't. Some of us are empathic enough to even feel each other through the camera, but many people can't. But in person, we can feel each other's heart. Go for the love. Go for the love.